2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. What is up? Happy Monday to you. Setting that tone for a whole new week. What a weekend it's been. It's been a wild one. It's been a good weekend all across the board. There's plenty to talk about, so let's jump right into it here, shall we? Great to have you along for the ride as usual. It is the Voice of Reason. My name is Andy Hooser, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country with so many great radio affiliates across the board doing our thing. Do it live! Like we do every single day here on the program. Lots to talk about. Bottom of the hour, Patrick Eddington will be on the show. He's a senior fellow with the Homeland Security and Civil Rights at the Cato Institute. Always enjoy chatting with them. We are in the middle of trying to renew FISA. Good, bad, and different. Thomas Massey has been one to fight against it, and I believe rightfully so. Not a big fan of FISA. Not sure why we still have it around. But ironically, at the same time that we're trying to renew FISA has been the same time we've seen some terrorist activity, the sleeper cells, come alive here in the United States. So is it worth it? Do we need to review it? Do we need to renew it? And where are we at with that conversation? Also, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna is looking to attach the SAVE Act to FISA renewal to say if we are going to go down that road, then we might as well be productive and do other things as well and attach the SAVE Act to that bill. So we'll have all that conversation with Patrick Eddington with the Cato Institute coming up at the bottom of the hour. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I enjoyed mine thoroughly. Mrs. Voice of Reason had her booth out at the Great Plains Renaissance Festival this past weekend, and I will say it was freaking awesome. Let me just say that. It was, it was great. If you have not gone to a Renaissance Festival at some point in your life, highly recommended. It is so much fun. Now, I will say that is one place where I don't talk politics because there are some very strange people there, but that's kind of what I enjoy about it. And everybody's wearing costumes. It's like a nerdy D&D convention. For those that don't know what that is, Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I will admit I've never played Dungeons and Dragons, but it's a board game that's really intricate and people really enjoy it, and people call us nerds, like video gamers, that sort of thing. But the fantasy stuff, the dragons and the medieval thing and the jousting, they had the jousters there. They ran on the horses, bashed into each other, jumped off the horse, did a sword fight. They had the International Scottish Highlander games that are there doing the caber toss, throwing the poles, throwing the javelin stuff. It's a great time. A lot of fun. Had my turkey leg. I had my drinking horn that's literally just a hollowed out horn that you drink from. It's fantastic. Had my bottle of mead and adult beverages and enjoyed the weekend. So that's what I did. Hopefully yours was just as exciting as that. I also, and I never buy anything because obviously prices are always way more expensive at those kinds of festivals. But I did buy and splurged. Actually, Mrs. Voice of Reason did a partial trade with some of her product and we bought some stuff. But I did get something which is something so cool. I've always wanted it. And because I always find it really neat that people walk around with them, but a legitimate fur to be able to just wear over the shoulders. Now, it's not a full-on like bear rug that you wear as a coat, but it is a fur that you put over your shoulders. And we found a vendor, and he's been there all the time. We see him every year, but he's been there, and he's an actual trapper. He goes around and traps coyotes and fox and rabbits and badgers and all this other cool stuff and raccoons, and then he sells the furs. So I finally broke down this weekend, and I got one. And it's really cool. I'll put the pictures on social media. You can find me on Facebook at Hooser Reason or any of the social media at Hooser Reason, Hooser Reason. I got one, and with all the plethora that they had, this badger stuck out. I don't know why. So I got a badger fur, and we cut it open to where I could drape it across my shoulders. It's warm. No wonder why these animals are able to survive out in the wilderness and in the cold. That thing, I had to take it off. Now, for one, it was already hot outside. As you know, if you've listened to this program for any stint of time, I don't do well in the heat. I got heat sickness yesterday, and I'm trying to come back from that. I've been drinking a lot of water. I got home last night, took a really cold shower, just bringing down my core temperature. And you'll laugh at me because it was a high of 75 degrees. That was that was the high. But being outside in, 12 hours, 14 hours in the heat all day, and I'm not used to it, I got heat sickness. I got really sick, and I feel okay now. I've been drinking lots of water, took the cold shower, but by the end of the day, and the loading and the setting up the tents and tearing down tents and loading all the equipment and everything, it was a long day, and I got really sick. I just was not feeling well yesterday at all. So I'm back to it, back to par today. Just a little bit weak, a little bit tired, but whatever, it's okay. Definitely taking care of myself, so thanks for the worry. But it was great. But I put it on my shoulder for a little bit, and I could only do it for about 15 minutes out in the sun. It was just way too hot. So it's cool. I'll show it to you. It's a beautiful piece, and got a nice badger fur that I now get to wear to all of my Renaissance festivals. And yes, I also wore the kilt all weekend long, so well done. Well done. Great times. Go out to your local Renaissance Festival and enjoy it all throughout the year. All right, plenty to talk about. And while that was going on, a big piece of news coming out of Washington, D.C. I'm telling you, this goes along with the Maha movement. This is groundbreaking information and groundbreaking news I am so excited about.
What's trending today?
A new executive order being signed over the weekend that we touched on briefly during the syndicated program on Saturday. Didn't touch too much about it, but it was a wonderful piece of news with Donald Trump having a numerous amount of individuals around him, including none other than podcaster Joe Rogan, going to the White House for the signing of this executive order for a new treatment for mental health issues and for depression and for other addictions and for whatever else, with a massive, I'm telling you, I don't think people understand the implication this is going to have on Big Pharma in the direction that we go in this nation. A massive transitional difference on how we handle pharmaceuticals in this country.
In 2024 study from Stanford University, 30 special operation veterans with traumatic brain injuries underwent, it's called ibogaine treatment. Ibogaine. Remember the name. Is that pronounced relatively properly, would you say?
Yes.
I don't want to get it wrong. Ibogaine, because it's so important, and experienced an 80 to 90% reduction in symptoms of depression and anxiety within 1 month. Can I have some, please? I'll take it.
All right, so President Trump signing the executive order Ibogaine, along with other psychedelics, to try and deal with mental health issues. Now, this has been talked about in the shadows for a long time. This has been talked about on the outskirts, the fringe, the radical people that don't like the big pharma industry. This has been a conversation, I guess, under the surface of society. The mainstream doesn't know a whole lot about this issue. And it's not just about the Ibogaine itself, which we'll get to in just a minute, but it's this executive order essentially allows the fast tracking of research and FDA approval of psychedelic medicine, psilocybin mushrooms. ibogaine, other psychedelics that you can use to actually cure and treat, not just mask the symptoms of, but cure and completely treat mental health issues in this country. And I see that as a major win. Major win. President Trump talking about not just ibogaine, but in general, what the heck this thing does.
Today I'm pleased to announce historic reforms to dramatically accelerate access to new medical research and treatments based on psychedelic drugs. In many cases, these experimental treatments have shown life-changing potential for those suffering from severe mental illness and depression, including our cherished veterans. Our veterans are having a tremendous hard time. You know, the suicide rate, we have it down a little bit, but they are having a hard time. And I got a call from a number of people, including the great Joe Rogan, and he said, we have to do something about this. And I looked into it. I called Bobby, I called Oz, I called Marty and Jay, and it was uniform support. And I said, so why would we wait 3 or 4 years to get it done? Or 10 years, frankly. Let's get it done immediately, and that's what happened. This has probably never been anything happened so quickly. Everybody is so strongly in favor of this. It's for a lot of people, but it's for our military in particular. The suicide epidemic among veterans is a national tragedy. Since 9/11, we've lost over 21 times more veteran lives to suicide than on the battlefield. So we lose, think of that, 21 times more. And today we're bringing them new hope. I think you're going to see a big difference and a big reduction in that number.
All right, so this is a big win across the board, allowing these psychedelics, allowing these ibogaine to come into the mainstream. Here's why this is important, and I want you to put this into perspective for a minute because, again, you may not be aware of it. You may not like the idea of psychedelic drugs, you know, psilocybin, mushrooms, that sort of thing. Although my crowd, the way we talk about the MAHA movement, the alternatives from the big pharma industry, I think that you probably get it with our listeners more than other talk shows and podcasts out there. But number one, we have to applaud the fact that Joe Rogan was able to bring this to light, that an influencer, that a podcaster, that someone outside of the system was able to make a difference. And I applaud that, which we'll get to in a minute, on how important your voice is, because that's how activism is supposed to work. But imagine, if you will, we talk about mental health in this country a lot. And it's been more of a front and center conversation than it has been, I don't know, over the past decade or so. It's really been brought to light. There's a lot of mental health issues out there in different directions that we can go. I mention the stats all the time here that the average fifth grader in this nation has the same level of anxiety as what someone in the 1950s had that were in a psychiatric ward. That's concerning. We have the issues of social media. We have depression. We have suicidal tendencies. We have more depression and more mental health issues than we've ever had before, and it continues to get worse. That's at the same time when we have pharmaceutical pills that are out there of antidepressants, or whatever else, I don't know, some type of brain stimulant drugs that pharmaceutical companies and doctors are pushing out there and popping pills left and right, where according to the latest stats from the CDC, anywhere between 10 to 13% of Americans are on some form of antidepressant. American adults, not even children, American adults, 10 to 13% are on antidepressants. That's a lot.
Say what?
To put that into perspective, there are 267 million adults here to 18 years or older in this nation. 267, 10% of that is 26 million people. Up to 13%, let's just round it off. Let's say 30 million people are on antidepressants in this nation. And has it gotten any better? Have we fixed the issue? No. Why? Because unfortunately, with the ones that are in the pharmaceutical industry, it's all about the for-profit. Let's not solve the issue. Let's give you a pill that you now have to take for the rest of your life. Some of them really bad, unfortunately. There have been pills and antidepressants to where once you get on them, you cannot get off of them because they literally cause brain damage. And you know which ones they are. I am not going to mention them on this program, but you know which ones they are because if you've taken them, then you're kind of SOL. And if you do try to get off them, you literally have to go almost gram by gram as a reduction over a month's time because of how dangerous it is to get off of these pharmaceutical pills. Now imagine something like ibogaine. Now, I'm not as familiar with ibogaine as I am with maybe like psilocybin mushrooms and what they've done, which do the same thing. And they cure, not just, again, mask the symptoms, they rewire your brain to cure and treat addiction, suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety for 6-8 months at a time. to do these different therapies. Ibogaine, as Joe Rogan says, and we'll play the audio in just a minute here, 80 to 90% success rate with one treatment, and it's extensive. So people are like, we don't want people doing this recreationally. This is not; these are not ones that you do recreationally. It is a 24-hour psychedelic experience. You are in an altered state of mind for 24 hours straight, and you go through, according to those that have taken it, you go through step by step of every traumatic experience you've had in your entire life, and you go through all these hardships, and you purge it, and you process it, and you learn from it, and it allows you to essentially rewire your brain to where people come out of these different drugs and say that if you've been a smoker, if you're an alcoholic, if you're a gambling addict, if you have any of these physical addictions, it cuts off those brain pathways to make you not be an addict any longer. 80 to 90% success rate. Why wouldn't we do that? Oh, that's right, because the pharmaceutical industries don't want you to have a one-time cure. They want you on a pill for the rest of your life that doesn't actually do anything. What a concept.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON. As you know, I'm always looking for a good snack, but it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives. But now that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. I promise you'll be addicted. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, reason, common sense, rationale. Welcome back into the program. Great to have you today for a Monday, setting that tone for a whole new week, doing our thing. Look, we do every single day here on the program. Have no fear. The voice of reason is here. So excited about some announcements we're making here on the program soon as well. Do not miss those. We'll get back to the healthcare reform conversation in just a minute. But as we talk about healthcare in this nation and solving the mental health crisis, solving the depression, the suicidal tendencies, the anxiety, whatever it is, we have an opportunity to do so, and we need to do more when it comes to coverage. You and I being covered in our healthcare system, repealing Obamacare, and getting back to where we need to be. That's where our friends with Americans for Prosperity come into play. They have their personal option agenda on what we can do to work with Congress now that they're back in session to reform healthcare. And I'm excited to talk about it. Go to personaloption.com, personaloption.com. Make sure to go and check it out, because that way you can learn everything on what we can do to increase better competition and more options for you. The individual option, the family option, the business option, whatever you're looking for. We need more options, more competition in the private market, repealing Obamacare, and covering Americans at a better rate. And that's what we need. That's what we need Congress to work on. That's what we need government to work on. And we need to start focusing on that. Now, if we actually address healthcare, we could see a major talking point from the Democrats disappear and go away, because for some reason Republicans are scared of it, and I just don't know why. But we need to help them. Personaloption.com. Go and check it out. Our friends over at Americans for Prosperity as we get closer to midterm season. Personaloption.com with AFP. So I want to first off give you a round of applause, because the activism that you do, the grassroots campaigning, putting pressure. Yeah, thank you very much. Putting pressure on your elected officials and trying to make change. That's exactly how things are done. This change that we're seeing in the way that we're going to start treating people. And by the way, the expansion of the Right to Try Act is part of this executive order as well. It's not only fast-tracking these psychedelic medicines to be approved by the FDA to help out veterans, those with PTSD, those with anxiety, those with severe depression, that sort of thing, suicidal tendencies. It's not only fast-tracking that FDA approval, but it's allowing the Right to Try Act to be expanded to already give veterans, for example, these options before they're even approved by the FDA. That is great news.
I want to tell everybody how this happened. I sent President Trump some information. We have a gigantic opiate problem in this country, obviously. In 2024, more than 80,000 people died of overdoses. It's a horrible number. And there's more than 5 million people that are addicted to opiates right now in this country. With one dose of Ibogaine, more than 80% of people are free of that addiction. With 2 doses, it's more than 90%. I sent him that information. The text message came back, sounds great. Do you want FDA approval? Let's do it. And it was literally that quick. These drugs are illegal not because they're harmful. They're illegal because of the 1970 Controlled Substances Act that was passed by the Richard Nixon administration. They did it to target the civil rights movement and the anti-war movement. It's not because these drugs harm people. And for 56 years, we've lived under those terrible conditions. We're free of that now. We're free of that now. Thanks to all these people that we see next to me, and thanks to President Trump.
Yeah, so Joe Rogan, really excited about this. I'm excited about it as well. You're right. We have policy that we've allowed to linger in society for way too long that has zero purpose whatsoever. And then once you realize the motive behind it, then you realize it really didn't have anything to do with the reason why they banned stuff in the first place. It's all control. It's all about that money. And it's about these big pharmaceutical industries that wanted to have complete control. As we mentioned going into the break, we can literally cure people, literally help people, veterans who have been struggling with this for decades. We can help you. And we haven't been allowed to because, no, we're going to put you on an antidepressant. We're going to put you on some type of mental stimulant. We're going to put you on some type of pill that masks the issue, that doesn't do anything. and then you just have to be on it the rest of your life. This is why. This is a monumental transition on how we're going to start healing, because it's not just about this issue. This is the Pandora's box, the gateway to allow us to treat other issues in other fashions without a long time control by Big Pharma. And this is great news.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
truth, reason, and common sense. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Sometimes would be 10 times higher than other countries. You'd buy a drug, I call it the fat pill or the fat drug. You'd buy it in London, you'd buy it for $10 for a pill, let's say, or a pill generally. But actually, to be specific, London, $87, New York, $1,300. I said, how can that be possible? How can it be possible? $87. And actually, a friend of mine called me up and he said, you know, he's a very rich guy, and he happens to be on this Ozempic, I guess, at the time. And it was not working, by the way. The guy was extremely successful, but highly neurotic. Got a lot of problems. I will not mention his name. He's begging me not to mention it because he's become quite famous. He's a big factor here. But he's very...
Can you still say that? We're in the big fat guy. Well, apparently Ozempic's not working for somebody, so sorry, Ozempic company. That one didn't go well with the president. I love that. Donald Trump, always making you smile one way or the other when he's making a statement, especially signing executive orders. All right, plenty to talk about. The shift in the healthcare that we're seeing is going to be big news. Treatment, cures, not masking things. I like the direction we're going. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. But let's shift gears a little bit. As you know,
what's trending today?
As you know, we are seeing one conversation right now in Congress, the renewal of FISA, which is why we're even going down this road, I don't really know. Meaning why we're even talking about renewing it. There has been a push, however, according to Congresswoman Anna Luna, to try to attach the Save America Act to FISA. Because if we're going to go down the road and renew it, which Donald Trump has tweeted saying that he supports right now with some reforms to make sure there are some protections there. But if we are going to maybe attach the Save America Act to it as well. He mentioned that on Air Force One just a few days ago.
Anna Luna is pushing to have the Save America Act linked to FISA in the FISA renewal. Are you in favor?
And I'd love to see that. The Save America Act is so important. It's so good. It's voter ID. It's, basic. It's your basics about a democracy. Voter ID, birthplace, you have to be born in the United States to vote. We have no transgender. We added no transgender mutilization of our children. Very important. No men in women's sports. Now, we added that. Also, we talk about the top three. And we put as the three having to do with the vote. We also have no mail-in ballots other than for the military.
All right, so we'll see whether that actually happens or not. But to talk about some of this and a heck of a lot more on where we're at with the renewal of the FISA.
Let's go to the Hooser Media Hotline.
Really happy to have on the program. He is the Senior Fellow of Homeland Security and Civil Liberties with the Cato Institute. We love having those guys on the program. Mr. Patrick Eddington. Pat, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Andy. How are you?
Yeah, great to have you on the show. Really enjoyed this conversation. It's obviously, for those that don't know, the FISA Act, the FISA warrant, Department of Homeland Security, all this massive surveillance coming around after 9/11 back in 2001. Coincidentally, they just magically had this stuff on the back burner ready to go for a situation just like that. But we've renewed it a few times. It's coming up for the renewal again. Do we still need these types of surveillance programs in the nation?
Well, you're certainly going to hear certain people in Congress, make a case to that effect, right? Here's the way I look at it. You gave a really good kind of brief overview there of where things are at, but just kind of remind people, let's take just 1 second to kind of remind people of what's really at stake here. When the founders gave us the Constitution, of course, they gave us the Fourth Amendment, which is very explicit, essentially, and I'll boil it down this way. No probable cause, no warrants, no exceptions.
Yes.
That, unfortunately, is not the way that it works right now in the national security context. And so, as you noted, this is one of those post-9/11 things that came into being. And the real bear about it, quite frankly, Andy, is that it started out as a totally illegal program. It was kicked into gear just hours after the 9/11 attacks. And at that time, it was completely secret, and it was called Stellar Wind. That was the actual National Security Agency code name for it. And we didn't find out about this. The public didn't find out about it until December 2005, when Eric Listwell and James Risen, who then was the New York Times, exposed the program. It was known as the so-called President Surveillance Program. And folks should kind of stop and ponder the implications of that president's surveillance program is itself pretty Orwellian.
Yeah.
But the official code name was Stellar Wind. Long story short, after it was exposed, because it was just like, it was a digital vacuum cleaner. That's what it was. It was basically collecting everything under the sun that you could possibly think of. So when this thing gets exposed, Congress spends the next 2.5 years trying to make an illegal program at least facially legal. And this is how we get what's known as Title VII of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, and the specific authority, of course, that's really getting all the ink right now and all the airtime is Section 702 of that program. What it does, in a nutshell, it's designed to collect data on people like ISIS, other terrorist organizations. It's designed to try to catch spies. It does go against essentially the internet backbone. They can also go to various internet service providers, AT&T, Verizon, all the rest of that. So there are a couple of different ways that they work it. But the long and the short of it is, what they basically say is there's just no way that we could do a warrant requirement with this. It would be too burdensome, blah, 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 blah. That's all BS, okay? Once they collect this data and it sits in their databases, it is simply not a big deal to have to go to a judge and get a probable cause-based warrant, but they hate it. They hate having to go along with that because what they want to be able to do is conduct fishing expeditions, essentially, in this database, looking for all kinds of stuff. And it's been expanded, to cover fentanyl and just a whole bunch of other stuff that it was never really designed to do.
Right.
So that's where a lot of the controversy comes in.
Well, it's pretty wild because, like you said, I mean, originally it was done to track foreign terrorists abroad around the rest of the world, because if you're not a U.S. citizen, you don't technically fall under the constitutional rights, so therefore we can surveil whoever we need to, whom we may deem as a threat abroad. The problem is, like you mentioned, if there's probable cause with someone that may or may not be communicating with or have a bank account or transaction or whatever, they've interpreted that very loosely to allow the FISA courts just to do this stamp of approval to monitor anybody here in the United States, even without their knowledge or without a court order or without any type of due process, to say, hey, you may or may not be communicating with, or you may have the same ideology, or you may have an issue there, so we're going to go ahead and start surveilling you as well. And I find that kind of strange because, like you said, blatantly unconstitutional. And I don't know how we allowed this to go on for so long.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these things where when a surveillance power like this is developed in a climate of fear, right? I mean, in the immediate hours and days after 9/11, I mean, I remember here in Washington, D.C., when I would ride the metro system into work, man, I was hiding behind columns and a bunch of other stuff when I was on the metro because we literally didn't know, whether or not there might be some Al-Qaeda sleeper cells or something like that. It turns out that was not the case.
Yeah.
But at the time, we didn't know, right? So, I mean, in an immediate emergency like that, a lot of the times you'll see people in the national security establishment, and I spent almost 9 years at CIA, so, I understand the need to collect data on potential foreign threats. But when you allow a system to be created where they can literally go and engage in a digital vacuum cleaner kind of operation on the internet backbone, and then claim that, U.S. person data is being collected incidentally, when they're making no effort whatsoever to break out any foreign-to-foreign communications, which would be totally fair game, from any foreign-to-U.S. communications. And contrary to what they claim, they do have at least some ability, and it's an increasing ability, in fact, to distinguish between foreign communications and actual U.S. person communication. So there's just less and less justification for doing this. And, of course, this is one of the most scandal-plagued surveillance programs in U.S. history. I mean, 19,000 donors to a member of Congress. I mean, they were sifting through this database, and they were, collecting data on donors. I mean, what is up with that, right? So there's, it's the kind of thing that's just ripe for abuse. Yeah. Right, and that's why it really does need to be reined in. And, we'll see where it goes. I mean, round one went to the surveillance reformers last week, but the fight is still on.
Has it been effective at all? I mean, they talk about some of the big wins. Obviously, during the last month or so, we've had the conflict with Iran. According to Kash Patel and the FBI, they say that they have been able to stop a few of the quote-unquote sleeper cells or potential attacks here in the United States, which, God bless them. I mean, that's what we need. That's what our federal law enforcement agents are there to do. How useful or productive has specifically FISA and that the tracking to be able to stop them been in those operations, or have they just kind of piggybacked on it to say, well, yeah, we had it to give us the access and opportunity just in case, but it wasn't necessarily an intricate way for us to actually stop these attacks?
So in the 18 years that this program has been in existence, almost 18 years, they can only publicly point to 2 instances where an attack on an individual or a potential attack on this country was underway. Najibullah Zazi, that one from almost a decade ago, even that one is contested. And they have claimed that 702 was instrumental in basically disrupting some kind of planned attack against a Taylor Swift concert. The problem with all of this is, at the end of the day, they're not providing the details to actually back up what they're saying. So let's just use the criminal court system, the Article 3 court system, as like the contrast for this. If the government wants to make a case against you or me for violating, some kind of criminal statute, they have got to show, either to a judge and preferably to a full jury, that they've actually got the goods.
Right.
That they've actually got, the source that tells them, whether it's a human source, confidential informant, whether they've actually managed to do some wiretapping on you under a probable cause-based warrant issued by a federal judge, right? But they've got to have the goods. And they've never, ever come out and said, in essence, this is how we do it. And the reason that really just kind of drives me crazy is because all the other bad guys and bad gals out there, and yes, there are female terrorists for those who are wondering, they know that this program exists.
Sure.
Right?
So they find a way to protect themselves and cover themselves. Yeah. Patrick, I hate to cut you off here. We got to take a hard break here. It is Patrick Eddington, Senior Fellow of Homeland Security and Civil Liberties with the Cato Institute. It's an interesting conversation. Apparently, in almost 2 decades, only 2 cases have been proven that the FISA has actually been used to stop bad guys. Is it really worth all of that surveillance for that? Lots more coming up.
With Andy Hooser.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy the Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it.
Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, reason, common sense, rationale. It's what we do on this program each and every day here on the program. It's always great to have you. If you want to find more of the show, you can always find us on our website, HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com. See all of our great partners. There is a tab for partners, and we have a lot of them and a lot more that we'll be jumping on very soon. Cannot wait to announce those. Also, we have some new affiliates that will be joining the show relatively soon as well. If you want the podcast, find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Type in the full name of the show, The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. We're having a fascinating conversation about surveillance and data collection. Remember the term metadata, which we haven't heard in a while since the passage of the Patriot Act back in the day. We're hanging out with Patrick Eddington, Senior Fellow of Homeland Security and Civil Rights with the Cato Institute on the renewal of FISA and where we're at right now. Patrick, I have to ask you, growing up right now as a millennial and one of the last generations to where we didn't have cell phones walking around with us all the time. We didn't have a lot of computers. We didn't have smart refrigerators that told us we were out of carrots, which I still find kind of creepy and weird out there. Do we have any bit of privacy in our life at all left in society? Because between cameras on the street and our refrigerator and TV and our cell phone, I don't know where we have any freedom left.
So, brother, it is very difficult. I'm not going to shine you on here. You know, that's one of the problems, quite frankly, that Warren Davidson, Republican congressman from Ohio, has been working on for quite a while. And 2 years ago, when the whole FISA thing was going down, the other thing that he was working on was all this other data that you're talking about. You know, the data broker problem. You know, where Google, will sell your location data, my location data. I mean, it's just a total mess, right?
Yeah.
And Davidson actually managed to get his Fourth Amendment is Not for Sale Act through the House. Unfortunately, the Senate did not take it up. Senator Dr. Rand Paul of Kentucky, also on the Republican side, when that came up on the Senate side, he put the amendment out there, and unfortunately, it was not passed.
Wow.
I think if that were to happen today, we would get a different outcome. So we'll see where that's going. But you do have these two pots of data that you have to be concerned about. There's the stuff that the government itself is collecting, whether it's through a big program like 702 or your state and local police departments using stingrays and other, cell site locators, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's all that government-related stuff, right? And then there's all this data that is generated as a result of these devices that we carry around with us. And that's the loophole. That's kind of the Fourth Amendment loophole, essentially, that federal, state, and local law enforcement, are really kind of exploiting. And that's another one that's really got to be closed.
Yeah, well, and a lot of people just accept it because they don't realize the damage to it. They don't realize the privacy that they should have or be allowed to have. I mean, I used to read a stat back in the day when I was in college that my generation, again, the average millennial, they were okay with giving up their privacy for the government to monitor their email accounts for a free pizza because they're like, I have nothing to hide, so there's no reason to try and fight it or hide it. I don't really care. They did not see it as an issue whatsoever. And I think, like you said, now with how technology is, it's gotten way out of hand and completely a different conversation.
Well, and I think if anybody's going to take anything away from this broadcast, listening to the two of us right now, I hope one of the key things that you take away is this. It doesn't matter whether you think you haven't done anything wrong. All that matters is whether agents of the government decide you've done something wrong. Yes. And I'll just point back, to the whole Crossfire hurricane investigation that the FBI launched against Trump in 2016. It had no actual basis. It really didn't. I mean, it was like some kind of intel they allegedly got from the Australians. And I'm a former CIA officer, right? I mean, I was an intelligence analyst. And I will tell you that, in my book at least, anybody who would try to run an investigation on a single piece of human intelligence, which is what this sounds like it was, I would fire that person, right? I mean, you're talking about somebody's rights. And I don't care if it's Donald Trump or if he's the guy that collects my trash every Wednesday. It doesn't make any difference to me. Every one of us is equal under the Constitution.
Yes.
And anytime we allow the government to have this kind of power, whether it's the direct power, through its own surveillance apparatus, or whether it's just the ability to call up Google and say, hey, we'd like all this data on so-and-so. I mean, that's got to stop, and I'm glad that people like Warren Davidson and Rand Paul, and there are some others. I mean, we don't have enough, quite frankly, but there are others that are out there that are trying to do it. But I single out Rand Paul and Warren Davidson because they're real warriors on this.
Yeah, and you're right. And like you said, I mean, the conversation now is a lot different. There are more people focused on this issue. There are a lot more that are more concerned about data privacy and trying to collect your data compared to protecting your data. And at least we're starting to move in the right direction and wake people up. And maybe the young generation's realizing, hey, wait a second, I am not protected or have any privacy at all in my life whatsoever, which is kind of crazy. So it's a great conversation. We need to continue to have it and wake people up on this issue. Patrick, we appreciate the time very much, my friend. Keep up the fight on your end. Would love to do it again real soon.
Thanks for what you're doing, brother.
Hey, appreciate it very much. Lots more to get to tomorrow. We'll do that. Can we see the ending of FISA? We'll see. I don't know if it's there yet, but we'll continue on beating that drum. Until then, we'll see you back on the radio before you know it. It's The Voice of Reason. I'm Andy Hooser. Bye.
For too long, Washington has said no to builders, workers, and American families, and yes to bureaucracy, delay, and special interests. Let's flip that. Say yes to building more housing, and no to government mandates that block it. Yes to permitting American energy, and no to endless red tape. Yes to putting patients in charge of healthcare, and no to letting insurance companies call the shots. Higher costs? No. An affordable America? Yes.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of The Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.